So you've heard a few people, including myself today, reference certified B corporations. So to talk a little bit more about what is this B Corp movement all about, how does it work, how do you get certified, and also to learn a little bit about some resources that can help you in that journey as well, I'm really excited to introduce my friend and colleague, Sue Kaplan. Sue is an independent consultant. She has her own Sustainable Futures consulting business, working with businesses on their sustainability work. And she's also been, for the last couple of years, been a wonderful part of our team here at UNH, teaching sustainability courses to our students. So, Sue, welcome up. And we'll hand over to you.
You can use the clicker.
Welcome. I am so excited to see a lot of friends and a whole bunch of people that I have never met before. So my name is Sue Kaplan, and I am a small business owner, probably as at the same size as Colleen. I work Sustainable Futures Consulting. Works with business leaders to transform their environmental practices and engage their employees, customers, communities with our natural resources. I was trying to get this move. Yeah, I'll riff it off. So I've had a lot of experiences in different sectors. But I think, so I've been in government, I've been in Congress and governor's offices and healthcare systems. And when I moved to New Hampshire, I decided to take a leap and go beyond very large organizations to a very small organization. But what I do want to tell a story, but one of the things, as Fiona said, she sent me an email at one point at August in 2021 and say, hey, would you like to teach? You don't have time to do that. Teach this in the sustainability dual major. It was a shock, because I had 3 weeks to figure out how to look at the syllabus and talk to the student. Talking to the students wasn't so bad. But anyway, it really recentered me around sustainability. And I've been working in the Bee Impact Clinic for 2 years as a business advisor, and then the last 2 semesters as a faculty lead. And it's been terrific. So really thank you for that invitation. But I want to go back to my story. When I left the governor's office in Massachusetts, I went to Polaroid Corporation, which was a Fortune 500 company. Some of you are old enough to know that company. And when I look back at it, I was a pioneer in social and environmental responsibility. And when we were working on changing packaging, evaluating design for environment and life cycle analysis, and talking to customers and piloting programs for State Farm and grocery stores and very large industrial companies. As I look back, this was my track. I was passionate about it. I still am. And so this is sort of, brings me forward to what I have been doing in the past. So we've had a glimpse of what B Corps are and what the impact of B Corps are. And I really like this. I guess I'm going to do this slide. Okay. One of the things that I like about this image is that it brings all of the values right in front, focused on using business as a force for good. So there's transparency, but let's go forward and sort of understand what this is. So we're going to talk about B Corps. The B Lab, which is a nonprofit, is and uses and assesses the B Impact Assessment. We're going to have a brief exercise at the table, talk about the B Impact Clinic, and have a conversation with Mariah Morgan from Stout Heart. I think I was both cold and a little nervous. So I'm like, need a little bit of that. So what kind of impact do you want to create for your business? I mean, that really is the start of a conversation in your head or in your organization, in your business. So the question is, why do businesses become a B corporation? And these are sort of the standard values of the proposition. So being part of a global community of leaders, that's a big one, So it's a global enterprise, but it's also a local community of leaders. Attracting talent and engaging employees. For so many years in New Hampshire and northern New Hampshire and northern New England, people are wondering how you can get talent. How do you find the right people? One of the things that I know with sustainability practices and being a certified B Corp is especially the young people really want to know that there are values in the company. And so what I've heard from some of my friends in B Corps is they don't have as much of a challenge to recruit people, and they stay. So that's a really important piece. Increasing credibility and building trust. This is, I do a lot of work around reputation and loyalty in companies, and I think that probably resonates for all of you. The benchmarking and improving performance, it's like the measure what matters. That's one of the reasons why that survey is included in NHBSR's quiver, because they usually say, what is it? If you don't measure it, you don't know what your business looks like. Protecting a company's mission for the long term. So if businesses traditionally have to focus on their revenue, on their profit, on their shareholders. One of the best things that I enjoy about B Corps is that you're looking at all of the stakeholders that align with your business. Generating press and awareness. Well, there's a lot more buzz about B Corps than there used to be. The B's are, Fiona's pin, you see them more frequently, and now you'll know more about, why that's a really great product or a service. So I like this quote, it's a community of leaders driving a global movement of people using business as a force for good. And these, I think, are the most updated statistics, which is 7,351 certified B Corps across 92 countries and across 161 industries. So I'll fast forward on that, because I will tell you a little bit about the industries in New Hampshire and Maine businesses. So what happens here is that, so you want to think about certifying, and you have to certify in order to become a B Corp. So the way that I think about it is it's, I focus on I think everyone focuses on the 5 sections. And you have, there are basically 250 questions, but not everyone is going to even go through all of those, but you need 80 points in the assessment to have an opportunity to be certified. So it's workers, community, the environment, and customers. And governance is a very key piece. And then there's a disclosure questionnaire. So there are some elements with, fossil fuels or prisons or things like that you may not be viable for certification. So there are 5 sections. You go through the process, and as Measure What Matters said, you can basically also learn from it. One of the things that I would suggest is that you can just go and open up a B impact assessment. It's free to go through it, and it's illuminating. It's almost like, wow, I never thought about that for my workers. Some of the policies that some of the students that we'll talk about in the B Impact Clinic is, breast feeding in the business, like policies of that, right? What was it? Lactation policy. Okay, thank you. Better verbiage. So, what other? It's a free tool. The industry, it's not all, it's not all the same. So your industry and your size really makes a difference in terms of which questions you're going to answer or not. So there are wonderful tools here. I don't think I can move this around. But the basics are, the requirements. You have to look at your social and your environmental performance. The legal accountability is basically you need to change your charter, change your bylaws to make sure that it's not just about shareholder primacy. So in every state that has a benefit corporation, B-Lab requires that you go and make those changes. And then one of the most important pieces is also that public transparency is a requirement for becoming a certified B Corp. So that basically means you're sharing your information, not down to the, not to the financials and whatnot, but, what types of actions have you taken in each of these sections. So one of the remarkable, actually I'd probably say a jewel at UNH and the Sustainability Institute is the B Impact Clinic. So there's a reason that that we have a fantastic, yes, and Anne is in the picture just from Tuesday. So the B Impact Clinic is brilliant, actually, because the benefits of this are intense, not intense, but they're the clients. So if you were interested in going into the B Impact Clinic, here's the experience. You you apply to be in the B Impact Clinic. It's not a hard application. And if you come into the clinic, you will have a capacity benefit, because you will have a team of students who are going to work on your B impact assessment. So that, and it's usually 4 to 5 students. They become consultants. So each team has 4 to 5 consultants, one of whom is a peer mentor who has already gone through the clinic as a student consultant. And one of the amazing options, they're not options, but we have business advisors who are themselves consultants, business owners. This last semester, we had 4 of the 5 either owning their own certified B Corp, but also have gone through the clinic themselves. So the students learn and become really expert on doing the B impact assessment, working with the business. So, yeah, 10 more. Oh gosh, Liz said take time. I'll go faster. But anyway, it's wonderful. So you have students working with you, a business advisor helping the students, and the benefit of a community in this area is really essential. So these are, as far as I know, except for the most recent 5 clients, these are not all B Corps, but they are all clients, and there were 5 more just finished. New Hampshire has 19 B Corps that are certified in New Hampshire. 5 additional B Corps are also working in New Hampshire, and Maine has 18 B Corps. And I would like to invite my friend Mariah Morgan to share a little bit of her expertise. On. Most of it I'm going to just remember. So one of the questions is, why did you want to certify as a small company? And let's start with that.
So my business is Stouthart. We're a marketing agency based in Portsmouth. I sort of have to back up a little bit, and I want to be conscious of time. I'll give you the medium version of the story, not the long one, in order for you to really understand why we pursued B Corp certification. I started the business because I worked in advertising agencies for my entire career, and I think at a certain point, if you work in the business, which has, if you've ever watched Mad Men, you know, early 2000s actually weren't so much better in terms of workplace toxicity. I don't know any other industry that has quite such a work hard, play hard mentality. And at some point that burns you out. I worked, I don't know if Julian's still around, but I too am a Bay Area refugee. I worked in San Francisco at bigger agencies and made it to New Hampshire, and just kind of was at the point in my life where I was done with that approach to work. And I decided if I was going to stay in the business, I was going to do it my own way and steer my own ship. So that's how the business got started. Shortly after, 3 months after I started the business, my husband and I found out we were pregnant with our first child. 10 out of 10 do not recommend, but in terms of putting a lens on the way you want your business to treat your employees and putting yourself in your employees' shoes. I mean, if you want to have a lactation policy in your office and you happen to be a pregnant woman starting a business, it makes it a lot easier to say, yeah, that just makes sense. And then the other piece of this is that in the marketing world, you don't always get to pick and choose clients based on value alignment. And I have been in many places where I have worked for clients who I did not agree with. And so that was part of starting Stout Heart was I want to work with businesses who are doing good in the world. And if the answer is that you are not doing good in the world, you're probably not a great fit for our marketing agency. So that's all the backstory. And I was aware of B Corp certification, but I, for many years, thought that it was just for large businesses. I mean, we look at the Patagonias and the, Stony Fields, and we think, I'm a 6-person agency. What kind of impact am I going to really be doing? And the final piece of this, and this is also a long story that I will make short, is 3 years into having founded the business, I was hit by a car in a pedestrian crosswalk and almost died. Also, don't recommend. I live to tell the tale, but I walked out of that experience with this sort of YOLO mentality in terms of the good that I would like to do with the life I have left, assuming I don't get hit by a car again. So Ann Richardson, who you heard from earlier, is a dear friend, and I watched her go through the clinic. And she's similar size agency, same industry, and I heard her review of it, and I just decided if there's a time to do it, it is now. And the beautiful thing about Stout Heart is it was always founded on this idea of doing good. So a lot of that certification process was simply putting on paper practices that we were already living.
So,
Amen.
So I don't need to, I don't want you to race. So I'm just pausing. I know, but I'm not looking at her right now. So I'm going to blend the B Corp and the B Impact Clinic. So Anne went through the clinic, and you did as well. What was your experience, and what are the benefits for working with the students?
Might be more done. One of the requirements of applying for the clinic is running through the B impact assessment yourself. And I did that a year before I actually hit submit because I got halfway through the assessment and was so intimidated by it that I was like, I can't handle this right now. When I finally hit submit and had gone through the assessment, I realized it's a long assessment. It's a rigorous process. Understandably, it needs to be, but it makes it very difficult if you're a one-person team, because I can't pull my limited number of team members off of a project to make this stuff happen. So I would say the biggest benefit of going through the clinic was you are supplied with a team of student consultants, and their job is to help you make it through that assessment with the number of points you need to be B Corp certified. I had an incredible team of students. Sue was my business advisor. But my team of students, many of whom I'm still in touch with, was just a lovely group of human beings. And I was very grateful for my time with them. They took me through section by section, helped me figure out what policies needed to be in place, what policies existed or didn't exist and needed to be implemented, and also opportunities for other areas of growth, and also acted as a conduit for sort of clarification of questions with B-Lab. So there were times where some of the writing in the questions, there seemed to be some gray area and needed clarification, and they would hunt down the answers and come back to me. It would have been a full-time job for me to do it for 3 months or a semester, but they really helped me. They plugged in as my support team, and I don't think I could thank them enough for that. So,
Thank you. I know that I missed one thing, is that as a certified B Corp, you will have to go through the assessment after 3 years. So that is really about continuous improvement and efficiency. So that's something we should know. So maybe for you, it would be 2025 or 2026, right? Yeah. And I also want to remember for the clinic is that some come in to certify, some come in to recertify after 3 years, and some come in to supercharge their sustainable practices. And that third one is very, very important as well. So you can use the Be Impact Clinic to really move your business forward and not necessarily certify. So that's something I wanted to clarify as well. Last question is, what's the benefit for you in the community part of being a B Corp?
Many benefits there, I would say. The very simplest is I've made new friends. But honestly, in terms of the work being done by the B Corp community, it's really exciting and gratifying to be a part of a community of businesses who are similarly aligned and just simply want to be doing good with the business that they're doing. I think by the nature of the certification, it gathers businesses and organizations together who want to certainly be profitable, but also make a positive impact on our world with the work that we're doing. So, again.
The exercise was going to be, if I had not spoken so long, it's a really quick thing is to write down 3 things that you're proud of in terms of how you work with your employees, your community, the environment. So just think about, hold it in your head and recognize that since you're here, you probably have many of those practices that, and looking through the Measure What Matters survey and the impact assessment, you can look at a number of options to modify and impact your business. Does anyone have maybe 1 or 2 questions about the Certified B Corps or B Impact Clinic? Yes, ma'am.
So with the help up students, how did you say you spend per week to get through the process?
For the client?
Yeah.
2 hours a week?
Once you've kicked off with your team, you have an hour meeting with your team every week. Most work via Zoom. So there's that. There is homework that is required. You can't ask a team of students to write your business's mission statement, but they do assist with a lot of things like policy development and helping draft some things that are a little more straightforward. It depended on the week and the section we were going through. I would say I was probably spending a couple extra hours getting organized and getting policies in place. We're a small business, so it's also very easy for us to pivot. If I say there's a policy, there's a policy. I own the business. So I think if you're a larger business, probably a little variation there.
Question about the ideal business in looking at the community book. So your portfolio, I was thinking, but
where on a small business's journey should they prioritize becoming a B Corp? Is it early, or is it once they get to 5 employees, 20? Where would you prioritize it?
I'm not going to prioritize it because some people start with it. They start right at the beginning in a business, and some have been in decades of operations and then move forward. So the size doesn't matter and the industry doesn't matter. So it really focuses on who's the champion and who can make it move forward.
Mariah, do you have a perspective on that? So when to do it? Yeah.
I agree with Sue that you can do it at any point. I think it's probably a bit easier and more streamlined if you're a little bit of a younger business. And actually for the benefit of your employees would be ideal to have some of these policies in place as early as you can in terms of employee attraction and retention. Sue talked about that early. That's definitely felt, at least in my business. So I think there is a benefit to doing it earlier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's just a technical note. You can't certify until you've been in business for operating for 1 year. But having said that, we work with a number of clients in the clinic who are less than a year old, and they're doing it because as entrepreneurs like Mariah, they really want to sort of build the business from the ground up the right way. And so they're sort of using the clinic, not so much to gather the data, but to really help design their kind of core operating practices before they get too far down the road. So anywhere in your journey is great. Yeah, Amy.
Sorry, I've heard that B Labs are redoing the assessment. Do you have any insight?
I heard that B Labs are redoing the assessment, and do you have any insight on when that change is going to come out and how it's different? I heard it was pretty simplified, but do you have any knowledge?
I can, all right, do you want me to take that?
Anne or Fiona?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. It has been delayed several times. So I think, not within the next year or 2 years, probably. What they're trying to move towards is more of the B impact assessment. So the B impact assessment is an incredible tool. It's updated every 2 to 3 years, so it really reflects kind of current best practices. As Sue kind of mentioned, it is sensitive to the industry you're in your company size. So there's probably about 200 versions of the assessment. So it's a very rigorous, very comprehensive tool. And it's a wonderful, essentially a free consulting pathway for you to really understand what is it, am I doing well, where can I improve? What they're moving towards is maintaining the B impact assessment, but to become a certified B Corp, there will be some like non-negotiables that you have to do. So I think that one of them, for example, will be, do you have a strong DEI policy? One will probably be, do you annually measure your greenhouse gas emissions, and do you have a plan for reducing in the future? So there'll be a short list, probably about 9 to 10 of these sort of like non-negotiables, and that's where it's headed. But it's been a little bit slower to implement, I think, than they would have liked to see. So for now, and in the future, the B impact assessment is still going to be this really valuable kind of pathway for you. Yeah, there's a question in the back there. If you just wait till you get the microphone, I think that'd be helpful. Thank you.
My question is specifically around the year. Is there a recertification that happens on an annualized basis?
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years? Okay, thank you. And then fees for recertifying and that type of stuff. So I guess it's a two-part question. Like what it is to actually do it, the preliminary track or preliminary certification, we'll call it. And then are you, as you progress through that certification, trying to keep the same standard, or are you held to a stricter standard in your recertification as you move forward? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. Do you want to sort of speak to that, Mariah?
I could speak to it.
Yeah.
B Lab has in place, I believe they call it a fairness pricing model. So based on the size of your business and the ownership of your business, I think they take all of those things into consideration. I'm a 6-person business. I found the fee that they assess for me quite manageable. So I wouldn't consider that a major hurdle. In terms of
recertification, yeah. So and what we see is, I think it becomes an internal sort of drive, right? So we see many companies. So I'll talk about Revision Energy, which I'm on the board of Revision. When they first certified, I think 3 certifications, so like 9 years ago now, they certified just over that 80-point threshold, maybe 80, 85 points. The last time they recertified this past spring, they certified at 150 points. No one's making them do that. That is their internal drive. I think going through the B impact assessment is illuminating. It allows you as a business leader to really see, here's what I'm doing great on, but here's all these things I never thought about that are sort of important for a business that is committed to people, planet, and profit. And so I think it creates this roadmap for you. It kind of creates a almost like a sense of competition for you and your employees. Like you start to want to do better. And I think it's fantastic for that perspective.
In support of that, we have several B Corp clients, and I was talking to one who just went through recertification, and I was asking, mostly for my own personal benefit, how difficult recert was. And he said, it's as tough as certification, but the benefit of having already gone through certification is that certification process gives you a different lens for the way you're operating in your business. So it almost made it a more streamlined process, because along the way, their 3 years of certification, they had already started to think about things in a very different way than prior to their certification.
Yeah.
Share, like, for your business, their pricing model for someone who got into fitness like that. Would you feel comfortable, or even if you just give me a range of like what the fee was for a business owner like us? I'm just looking to like kind of quantitatively wrap my head around that for the size of the company we are. Obviously, there will be other constraints, but just for reference.
Sure, yeah. I mean, don't hold B Labs to this, because I'm not really sure how they do it, but ours was $1,200 for official certification.
So we're kind of close on time, so I want to thank both Sue and Mariah, but I also want to just sort of say in closing, somebody earlier this morning referenced the term greenwashing, which I suspect many of you know what that means, but it's really, this is where companies are sort of telling a good story, but there's not a lot of substance to back up their claim. And we talked earlier about Gen Z. This generation is acutely on the lookout for greenwashing, right? They will call companies out on social media and other forums who they believe are greenwashing. This is really where B Corp certification comes in. It was really designed to help us as customers distinguish between, companies who are just good at telling a story, just good at marketing, and genuinely good companies. It is hard, it's rigorous, but it's meant to be hard. And because it's hard, it has that value, right? It has that immense value that when you put certified B Corp on your materials, on your brand, it stands for something that people can recognize. And that's really why we started the B Impact Clinic here at UNH, that we saw a need. One was there are companies like Mariah's and Ann's who really would love to be B Corp certified, but it's a daunting task, and so we know that they needed help. And then on the other hand, we have incredibly passionate, talented students like Colleen here, who graduated a couple of years ago, who want an education that allows them to build these skills. And so we said, all right, we can solve both of those problems by putting those things together, creating the B Impact Clinic. Kat Hand is in the back, who works on our team. She's the program coordinator for our B Impact Clinic, and also the sister program that you'll hear about from Jen soon, called the Climate Action Clinic. We designed them to be resources for businesses like your own. So please go and spend some time chatting to Kat and Alexis in the back, and you can learn a little bit more.
And the QR code here.
Oh, and the QR code. But join me in thanking Sue and Mariah for a great conversation.